Patrick Bet-David. I am a fan of Patrick Bet-David. I don't always agree 100% with Patrick Bet-David, but I think that I'm not sure anybody that 100% agrees with anybody, including the person that you lay next to every day, right? But Patrick Bet-David made an official offer, and he said it live on multiple different platforms, including his own, to Tucker Carlson. Now, Tucker Carlson, for those of you that has been living under a rock, and I will be reading Super Chat shortly. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Tucker Carlson has recently been dismissed from Fox News along with Don Lemon from CNN. Now, the first question that you want to ask yourself is, why is nobody making a huge offer over here to Don Lemon? Why is nobody making a huge offer out here to Don Lemon? But completely unrelated, we'll tackle that at another date. Patrick Bet-David says that he wanted to make an NBA-type contract offer over there to Tucker Carlson. All right? So make sure that you guys tune in. I'm about to play this video. I have not seen it yet. I actually seen his interview or parts of the interview from, I think it was Megyn Kelly. He was on Megyn Kelly, and he said that. So let me go ahead and play this, and then we're going to react to it, and I want to get y'all thoughts.
We made a public offer to Tucker Carlson on the great Megyn Kelly show a few hours ago. And then we tweeted our offer, and we put it out there. It's an article. You can see the details. It's crystal clear. To Tucker Carlson, let me start off by reading this. If you can zoom in a little bit more so the audience can also see it. You can find this on Twitter. Dear Tucker, I'll get right to the point. We want you to partner with us in what we feel is a noble and necessary effort to define the future of media. Here's our...
Y'all said that Don Lemon got a $50 million offer from who? Send it to me. Email it to me, AntonDaniels413@gmail.com, and I want to review that also.
Offer, $100 million over 5 years, an equity stake in Valuetainment, president of Valuetainment, and a board seat to project your strategies, your strategic vision and voice, your podcast, plural, singular, and other daily, weekly shows, documentaries and movies covering topics you care about. What else? We're all ears. Our convictions about freedom, liberty, and truth run deep, and we believe we are the absolute right fit for you in America. While we may not be the biggest media company, we are a new media leader driving into the future to make truth, fair debate, and commentary more accessible, consumable, and protected. We are one.
What do y'all think about that? Let's stop right there. What do you think about that? Valuetainment and Patrick Bet-David is making a serious play at Tucker Carlson. And what I would say is, y'all said from BET, 3-year, $50 million deal. I'm going to check that out shortly. Send me the article. Y'all said that he got a $50 million offer from BET, Don Lemon. Okay, we'll get into that. $20 million. Now, remember, y'all, I don't know if y'all remember with the whole thing with, what was it called? The Daily Wire. The Daily Wire had made a similar offer. I think it was $50 million over to Steven Crowder, which then there was a fallout. Now Steven Crowder is under attack from his ex-wife after he turned down the offer, and then he also exposed the contract, right? But Patrick Bet-David is making an official announcement in which he's saying $100 million, which is the equivalent of $20 million per year over 5 years, an equity stake in Valuetainment. So they want him to be a minority owner, president of Valuetainment, and a board seat to project your strategic vision and voice. You own your own podcast and other daily, weekly shows. So they're saying that he can also own his own content. Documentaries and movies covering topics that you care about, and then they're leaving leaving it open and saying we're all ears. Now, I think that this is a wild offer, but it is very, very smart, and it is very strategic. I'll get into it shortly. Let me continue to hear what he's got to say.
100% serious about our offer, respectfully, myself. So if you're watching this and you're saying, well, I don't like the fact that Netflix does the woke and Disney does this and Disney does that, and what? No problem. Then when other OTTs come that are trying to fight that, and they tell you $14.99, $12.99, whether it's Daily Wire, whether it's whatever, guess what? Pay it. Pay it. Don't go say, I can't. Pay it. Because what you're doing to them, that money is going to be used to go get talent. So this relationship is a two-way highway. I remember I would go to charity events and I would say, Jen, these guys are going to want some money tonight. Get the checkbook ready. We got to cut some money tonight. Okay, great. We're sitting there. And I would say, if the argument's good, we'll cut the check. And I would sit there and say, oh my God, this is such a great point. We don't need one of those machines. We need 5 of those machines. How much is each machine? $59,000. You know what? 5 machines, $300,000. You know what? Absolutely. We'll support it. We were planning on only giving this much. Here's the money. Because it made sense. We need 5 of those machines in that city instead of just needing 1 machine. So, audience, this is a two-way highway. If you're sitting there not happy about it, you got to fund and help those companies that can do something with that money to get that voice to be bigger. And then, this is going to be crazier. You got to go and get that vote of other people also subscribing, just like we get.
I don't see, I've been searching and I'm looking it up across the internet and YouTube and the news and all of this other type of stuff. I don't see any official reports that says that Don Lemon actually signed a 3-year, $50 million deal. The only person that I see talking about it is what is his name? Star, the Star Report. I don't see that as an official anything anywhere. But what Patrick Bet-David is basically saying is that he's willing to pay and willing to bet and risk it all. Now, here's the difference between people that look at it from a worker's perspective or a visibility perspective versus people that look at it from an owner's perspective, right? I gamble all the time. And when I say I'm gambling, I'm talking about gambling on talent, right? Some of them hit, some of them don't, right? I'm willing to spend the money to compete with people that have much, much larger platforms. And so I want to mine that out for you guys so that I can give you some insight into what I think that Patrick Bet-David is trying to do, right? Now, Patrick Bet-David is building a brand, he's built a brand. And the brand is really significant compared to what we think a brand is. It is Valuetainment. He has a significant platform. He does different content. He gets into the relationship space. He gets into the money space. He has a podcast. He does clips. He does all of this stuff, right? And Patrick Bet-David is obviously a bag getter, not a bag chaser. He a bag getter, right? And so when you think about that, but you also have to think about him competing against larger entities like the Fox Newses, like the CNNs, because the way that Patrick Bet-David is getting it is he's getting it completely out of the mud, right? Everything that he's built is completely on his own back and on his own hard work and his own visibility and marketing himself effectively and putting other people on and investing in his platform and a background and being able to bring people in, fly them out, put them in the hotels and all of this other type of stuff. He takes the money that he makes and then he reinvests it back into his company, right? And so generating revenue based off of sponsorships and, the payments and all of this other type of stuff and AdSense and different platforms and everything that comes along with it is a part of what it is that he's doing, right? Now, here's the other side of the equation. Him investing in himself and taking a bet or a gamble on somebody that I think is a sure bet, because if anybody has seen Tucker Carlson recently released a video on Twitter, it had got like 60 million views in less than 24 hours, right? It is a gamble. It is absolutely a gamble because there is no guarantee that it's going to pay off. However, the ability to be able to monetize and capitalize off of it, but more importantly, give himself more credibility and build a bigger brand as a result of it is worth the investment and worth what it is that he would put into Tucker Carlson. So let's play a couple different scenarios out, right? Let's say, for example, he invests $20 million a year, which is the equivalent of $100 million over 5 years into Tucker Carlson, gives him a seat on the board, makes him president, allows for him to be able to own his own content and all this other type of stuff. The first thing that it does is it gives instant credibility to Valuetainment, and it makes Patrick Bet-David and Valuetainment resonate in the minds of the people in a general sense. It gives them instant credibility. It blows them up, right? You can't pay enough money for that type of visibility and getting in front of eyes that you otherwise would have not been in front of because Tucker Carlson commands an audience and a following that's much bigger than what Patrick Bet-David currently has. So making that investment in the talent, while it also benefiting the talent because you have a guaranteed amount of money that's coming into you. Now, obviously, I think that you got to work out the different details of it and how often he's going to go live and stream and all of that other type of stuff. But in a general sense, let's say Patrick Bet-David made a $20 million a year investment plus whatever the cost is to produce the content that Tucker Carlson would produce, right? And let's say through sponsorships and everything like that, that Patrick Bet-David makes a 5% return, a 5% return from a financial perspective back into his company. So a 5% return is the equivalent of $1 million in profit. So let's say that after all of the costs, expenses, plus salary, it costs him, for the sake of conversation, $20 million, and then they make $21 million. And so as a result, the return on investment in the first year is $1 million in profit. Is it worth it? Absolutely. Even if he made a $1 million loss on paper, having that as a write-off while also building the credibility of the brand of Valuetainment and attracting more talent, attracting more people that is making more money as a result of it. It is absolutely a great play. Even him making this offer publicly. Thank you, LLC. I'm definitely going to read the super chat. Even him making this offer publicly creates more visibility for Valuetainment. It creates more visibility for the brand. And so sometimes even me, right? You guys see me bringing in different guests. I fly them in. I pay for their hotels. I put them in the best hotels. I treat them well. I make sure that they're taken care of. Sometimes I take them to the game. I entertain them. I pay for their food. I get them a driver. I get them the best cars, the best accommodations, the whole 9 yards. Sometimes, depending on who it is that I bring in, it is a loss. It's a loss leader. But what I can't pay for is the additional visibility of putting their eyes based off of their content and their audience. You're also paying for that. You're paying to own the content long term. You're paying for so many other things. And so up front, it could be a loss, or up front, it could cost you more money. But on the back end, you become much, much more successful and you get way more money in the end, along with the visibility that also gives you the credibility to also pull in bigger guests and build up the platform and build up everything that comes along with it. So this is a strategic long-term investment that he's looking at, right? Whether or not Tucker Carlson ever takes it is a completely different conversation, but let's continue to play the video.
Somebody to get elected. So when I had Rudy Giuliani on the podcast and we're having a conversation on the, in 5990 Live, and he was talking about, well, the election this and the election that and election this. I'm like, I'm not for it. I'm not for it. He says, what do you mean I'm not for it? I said, here's what I'm for. If you think there's going to be any kind of cheating going on in the election, guess what? Get 7 people to go vote with you. Nobody should go vote by themselves.
A lot of people say, like Sam C saying Tucker would be smart to go independent. Why? Explain to me why. Explain to me why. Explain to me why it makes sense. Listen, everybody is not built to go independent. Everybody is not built to go independent. It's not always the best decision, or it does not always work out in your best interest, because everybody is not built for the production costs, and everybody is not built to put up the money or deal with the hiring and the firing and the assignment of what it is that you're going to record and how you're going to record it and how often you put it out and all of the editing process and everything like that. Musicians are not all built to be able to go independent like, say, my dog, Jet Life. Currency is an independent artist that works well. Wayne is not the type of artist that works well with being an independent. Nas ultimately was the person, right? Nas was the person that transitioned from being a major onto having mass appeal, and now it makes sense for him because it took him a long time probably to learn the other business side of it, right? It's a lot of Houston rappers, and it's a lot of different people that are able to rock out independent, but it's a lot of other people that need a machine behind them. And they need that visibility, and they need that production value, and they need other people to push them, and they need a marketing team, and they need AR, and they need a street team. Everybody is not built for independence. Everybody is not built for independence. Josh D said, Anton, why are you independent? because I have a work ethic that's second to none. Some people are great at the talent. Some people are great at doing what it is that they're great. I'm great from a business perspective, right? If you are a part of the Patreon and you are a part of the Bag Chasers and you joined that webinar last night, you know that my talent isn't necessarily having conversations with y'all every day. My talent is looking at everything from a business perspective, which is why I make way more money than everybody else, regardless of how many subscribers that some of these people have, right? My talent is finding the right people and then putting them in the position of possible, or using my platform or using my visibility to leapfrog and give other people a platform to say and do what it is that they want to do. Some people don't want to handle all of the business side of it. Some people just want to get paid, get their fee, get their money, be taken care of, fly in, fly out. They don't want to deal with the logistics that come along with it, right? So it's a completely different mindset.
What do you mean? When you go to vote, you guys to do this. Okay. And we have the conversation. Announcements made. Tucker's coming to Valuetainment. Fantastic. Guess what? Whatever is going to be in a private platform where Tucker can speak freely, and that is announced, whether it's with us or anybody else. If we don't get him, I'm telling you right now, anybody else that goes gets him. I'm telling you, go support it. God willing, it's with us because we believe we're the right fit. But if it's not, go support it. And
he is marketing and he is selling like crazy. He's saying, listen, support Tucker. We believe in his vision and we believe that we should be supporting people like Tucker Carlson. This is a sales pitch. This is a sales pitch. He's still selling Valuetainment to Tucker Carlson by saying that we will support him regardless of what it is that he does or where he goes. Make no mistake about it. Patrick Bet David, regardless of where he stands on the political spectrum, because obviously he stands on a conservative side and on an independent side. Let's be clear. The number one reason why Patrick Bet David is making this offer is because it is a financial move. It is a financial move. This is a business move. This has nothing to do with, okay, yeah, I stand for this. This is similar to what it is that I tell y'all with regard to marriage, right? With regard to marriage, yes, you can love the person that you're with. Yes, you can support the person that you're with, but understand that it is a business. It is a business arrangement first. And if you understand the business of it, then everything else comes along with it. But first and foremost, Patrick Bet David is selling. He is selling, and he is selling phenomenally the idea that Tucker Carlson should rock with Valuetainment. Smart man.
FYI, let me prep you a little bit more. This is how sometime when we started a company, this is what I said when I first started the insurance company. I said, guys, I want you to be thinking about this. What's that? We're about to make this announcement, this technology. I'll never forget Bamboo when we first launched it, Tom. You weren't there when we launched it. It was the ugliest 3 months of my business career. Every day we were at the office till 1:30 in the morning with customer service live Zoom with so many different things breaking with this. And I kept telling them, guys, be patient. But I prepped everybody for 6 months. Not everything's going to go perfectly well. Be patient. Be patient. Be patient. Be patient. Boom. It's crazy. We had 3 of our employees that used to work here. And these guys I said, listen, be patient. Long term, we're going to do something big. They're all diehard guys. We just announced that we want to do something with Tucker. They're all texting me saying, oh, my God, never thought that was this one. I said, well, you were impatient. If you were patient, we told you the vision is really big.
A lot of people are not bought into the vision, which is why so many different people fall off as a result of what they thought that they was rocking with or them rocking with you at different points throughout their career. Very few people is bought into the vision. Even with regard to the relationships that you have and the person that you lay next to. A lot of times they don't believe in what it is that you saying that y'all should do in order to make the sacrifice now so that y'all can get to the bag later, right? One of the things that I used to tell Rita all the time, I said, listen, 10 years from now, the conversations that we having is whether or not we going to fly Delta One or we going to try to get a private jet to go over there and accommodate us. And she bought into the vision. She bought into the vision, right? It's your employees. It's the people that you surround yourself with, right? It's a lot of people that's going to rock with you and they going to buy into you because they just believe in you. And so as a result, they going to benefit as a result of it. Most people don't have the vision. They don't have the foresight. They so busy looking at what's directly in front of them. When I talk to people on a regular basis, right, they'll say, Anton, should I leave my company to go and get a $5,000, a $10,000 raise? How much money you make? $100,000 a year. How much they offering you over at this place? $110,000 a year. How long have you been at the place that you currently at? 3 months, 4 months. Nah, stay there. Finish. Right? What was the vision that they gave you as far as how it is that they recruited you in the first place? Stop taking small chunks and small bites in order to make sure that you can make the long-term play and get that big dog vision. Build the relationships. Get some projects under your belt. Stop jumping around so much. And whatever it is that you decide to rock with, whether it's the person that you lay next to every day or the job or the business that you start, have the vision to then long-term execute on top of that in order to get to the bag. But most people don't have the vision. Most people don't have the ability to be able to see the opportunities that come long-term. And so as a result, they miss out.
When Tucker goes anywhere in the first month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, is not working at the pace you want it to be patient. The relationship is both ways. That organization's got to figure out the kinks, and you got to figure out the kinks. The benefit of going to a place like Fox, the benefit of going to a place like NBC, the benefit of going to a place like CBS or any of these places, guess what they have? They have 600 employees that are overpaid that can go and work on one person's project, 50 people on one person's project. So, but if you go to an independent organization that is not a $12 billion company, $7 billion company, and they're coming up, they don't have those resources yet. So the level of patience needs to be higher because the exchanges, while you go to NBC, ABC, mainstream, you're muzzled because you can't talk about everything because your biggest sponsor is Pfizer.
True.
Over here, you are not muzzled. You can talk about everything, but you don't have the 600 employees, and you got to be kind of patient for this thing to develop. But if the
But let me add one more caveat to that because he's absolutely right. He's explaining to you guys the pros and cons. And if you guys want this Follow God, Not Culture hoodie from somebody that sent me this hoodie, the link is in the description for y'all to be able to purchase the hoodie. I think it's only $60 or something like that, right? But here he's explaining to y'all the pros and cons of working with a larger organization versus working at a smaller organization. It's just like corporate America, right? If you're working for a larger organization, you'll have that machine behind you in order to empower you and get you the visibility that you want. But you'll also be contained because they're trying to get a return on their investment because let's be clear on both sides, you are an investment, right? And so at that large corporation, you'll have the backing, but you'll also be muzzled and you'll be controlled in that you don't have the freedom to do what you want to do. On the flip side, when you go with a smaller organization, you may not have the resources of 600 employees, but he's missed one selling point that I'm going to add in this. You are able to say what you want to say. You're able to do what you want to do. You can build this thing from the ground up. It is going to be a little bit more work, so you have to have more patience. But I would also say that I believe that you are able to operate much quicker, much more nimble, much more effectively because you don't have all of the layers that's preventing you from doing what it is that you want to do. At the end of the day, let's be clear. I can cut on my microphone. I don't need anybody. I don't need anybody. I was telling the people in the Patreon yesterday of how lean I operate and how I don't keep a lot of overhead, even though I was showing them the receipts and I was showing them the six-figure AdSense monthly payments that I get as a result of streaming, or not even streaming, of having different platforms on YouTube. And then I was, breaking down the sponsorships, and we had a long hour, 45-minute conversation, Q&A, and then I was showing them my back end and stuff like that, right? At the end of the day, I operate so lean because I am not interdependent on anybody in order for us to be able to do what it is that we do. If everybody left tomorrow and I didn't have anybody, I didn't have no editor, right? I didn't have a personal assistant. If I didn't even have my wife, if I didn't have Rita, at the end of the day, all I need is a camera and a microphone, and I'm a cook. And at any point, I can cut on my camera and my microphone, and I'm a cook, right? I'm not controlled, right? When you look at these music artists and stuff like that, when I look at the individual ones or the independent ones, they drop when they want to. They drop when they see that the audience is resonating with something that they got going on and they about to go on tour, and so they drop. Whereas everybody else, they got to plan it. They got to have a rollout date. They got huge expenses that they got to cover that's associated with what it takes in order to produce that artist. They got to have the hardest artists and the hottest writers and all of that, and they don't make as much money. But it's a lot more work. It's a lot more work. At the end of the day, all I need is the ability to be able to cut on my camera and cook. I don't care if my camera is old, toe up. The majority of the time, I'm live streaming. I'm not live streaming on this. I'm live streaming on this. When you see me drop videos and I'm doing my vlogs and stuff, I'm recording this with my iPhone. I get it right back in the mud. I don't have a lot of overhead. I don't have a lot of people that's preventing me from doing what it is that I'm going to do. And so I think that also being independent allows for you to be a lot more effective and nimble, and that you can then cut through the bullshit and cut through the layers that allows for you to actually get to the heart of the people. I don't have nothing preventing from me kicking it with my people and having them come up and do a Q&A with me. When I say that I'm going to do a Patreon meetup, I fly to that city and I kick it with the people and I rock out. And I invest all of my own money, all of my own resources in order to ensure that certain things is taken care of.
Relationship with the users and the customers and the capitalist, the entrepreneur, the talent.
Cut out the middleman. You go straight to the customer.
Is honest and sincere. Long term, we're going to win this fight. But it's not going to be just the talent and the company and not the involvement of the talent, the fans and the audience getting involved as well. This is going to take a real teamwork effort the next 3, 5, 10, 20 years for us to win this fight. And by the way, if there's ever been a fight worth fighting, this is it. I was looking at a book upstairs shown to 7 of our executives about 10-year-olds, what book they're getting on sex education. I'm showing this clip, and the book is sold millions on top of millions of copies in public schools. They're showing positions on how 2 boys can have sex in school.
Yep.
2 girls can have sex in school. Then you have the missionary, which is a boy and a girl, which is,
it's regular.
A 10-year-old boy is going to learn how to have sex with another boy. Listen, if there's ever been a time that it's going to take everyone's effort, we're just sitting around bitching and complaining about it, it's not going to mean anything. You got to get involved.
Yeah, that's wild. That is absolutely wild. But more importantly, I think that Patrick Bet-David, this is a sales pitch. No matter what it is that he's talking about, listen, no matter how it is that he's doing it, sometimes a sales pitch has to be more than the money. Because when somebody already has money, it's very difficult for you to use money in order to try to get them to join your company. Right? You have to give them a purpose. You have to give them a vision. You have to give them an idea of how you're going to work culturally with them in order to solve for problems that's meaningful to them. It's not just about the money when you have money. When you're trying to woo people or you're trying to pitch people, you can't just pitch them with money. You have to pitch them with the ability to actually get off what it is that they want to get off. When I talk to people, here, I'll give y'all a little bit of a hint, right? Shout out to Patrick Bet-David. I think that he's doing awesome things. I love reacting to his content. When I'm pitching people, sometimes I can tell the difference between people that's used to having and the people that's not used to having, right? The people that I pitch, even in corporate America, even when it comes to, because you're selling them on why it's best for them to join an organization if you see talent in them, just as much as they're pitching you on the idea that they have the talent to add value into the companies that you have, right? Whether you're recruiting them to come work for you, whether you talking to them about an interview or whatever. When I pitch people, it's 2 different types of people, right? The first person that's interested is genuinely all about the bag. The only thing that they care about is the money. They don't really care about what it is that you're asking them to do. They'll do whatever it takes in order to get the money, which is cool. The other person does it like this. The other person that have options, right? They're not going to just jump at the first thing that you offer them. They then are going to make a strategic decision of how this thing is going to go, right? Sometimes when people come into the studio and I do an interview with them, they say, well, what are we going to talk about? And what is it that you actually looking to accomplish with this interview? And how much will I be able to say? And if I decide to say something or if I say something out of pocket, will you remove it and edit and have your editors edit out certain things that I said that don't make sense as far as what it is that and I give them that. I give them all of those courtesies, right? One of the things that Kwame Kilpatrick and I was having a conversation, and we removed a lot of different things that was outside of that I don't, that he felt, or even I will bring up to them. And I was like, hey, listen, I don't think that would be a good look right there. And he'd be like, you don't think so? And I say, no. He's like, yeah, you're right. We should probably remove that. And so as a result, when they work with me, it's a cultural fit because they trust me and they trust that I'm going to do the thing that's in their best interest more than any accommodation or hotel stay or anything that they can call me for. And so when you're pitching people, when you selling people, you can't just sell them. And this is a sales 101 thing, right? And this is why I say people do things because they like you, not just because you have the best product or whatever. When you're selling people, okay, you have to sell them on more than how they can benefit from a financial perspective or what you can do for their business or how you can add value to them or anything like that. You have to put them at ease. You have to give them a level of comfort with working with you. You have to help them to understand that you are in their best interest when you're having conversations with them, which is exactly what Patrick Bet-David is doing right now. He's not just saying, hey, listen, $100 million offer, board seat on the board, president, you get the vision, you get to keep your own stuff, and then whatever it is. He's saying, listen, I believe in you. I believe in you. I believe in what it is that you stand for. It's some meaningful things that we can solve for while we also busting down this bag. Listen, I'm not telling you that it's going to be easy. I'm telling you that it's going to be a little bit of a ramp up, and then it's going to take time for us to get used to each other. But I'm willing to do whatever it takes in order to get this message out. If you believe in me, then I'm believing in you. These are the pitches that salespeople are giving you when they're doing it successfully. Think about it like this, right? And I always relate it back to relationships, and I relate it back to people, okay? There's a difference between the woman that you lead with money with in order to get for her to rock with you, right? The quality of that woman is going to be completely different than the woman that buys into your vision and then she just benefits financially from what it is that you get, right? If you having a conversation with a woman, right? And this is why I always tell y'all, if you're going to get into a relationship, then get into it with your best friend. If you have a relationship with a woman, and actually this applies more to women than it does to men, right? Because the guy that usually you were supposed to be with, you passed him over because you didn't understand what his vision was. If you get into a relationship with a woman or you go up to her at the bar or whatever, right? She's going to assess a couple different things. She's going to assess who you are based off of how you present yourself. And then the other insight that she's going to get is going to be based off of how comfortable you make her feel in the conversations that you're having at the bar, right? The woman that rolls with you regardless of whatever the fuck you say based off of whether or not she's seen you pull up in that Porsche or that Lamborghini is a completely different woman from the woman that sat there and had a conversation with you and then you wasn't really checking for her, and so you walked out, and when you were walking out, she says, hey, let's keep in touch. Let's exchange information. The quality of the woman or what it is that she's buying into is two different things. Now, relationships are transactional, so now you're going to have to evaluate whether you want to deal with a type of woman that is with you just because she's seeing what you pulled up in. It's a place for her too. Now, we're not going to go into what that place is. The flip side of it is the woman that you having a conversation with based off of your character or what it is that y'all were talking about at the bar is a completely different type of woman. Her interest is different. If she never asked you what you did for a living based off of trying to understand how much money you make, but really trying to understand why you dress the way you dressed as far as, oh, are you just getting off of work? Let's just make conversation. And she didn't trip when you said, I'm just in investments. I work downtown, nothing major. And then you didn't have to go into detail as a result of continuing that conversation. She's a different quality of woman. She's a different type of woman. I think I'm going to break this down on the Anton Daniels channel on a live stream tonight. But what I'm saying is your sales pitch. You're selling yourself regardless of what you think. You're selling yourself regardless of how you see it. You selling her on the ability for her to be able to ride in your car or for her to be associated with a dude that's high powered or a dude that got money or the visibility or the lifestyle or whatever. You could be selling her on the idea of buying into your vision. You could be selling her on the idea that we need to just remain cool, and then she just intrigued by you. And so as a result, she's curious as to, how it is that y'all gonna have a conversation going forward. The sales pitch is different depending on how it is that you lead into the conversation. And I can tell that Patrick Bet-David is an excellent, phenomenal salesman because of how he pitched Tucker Carlson, regardless of whether or not Tucker Carlson actually take the deal or not. All right? We're all salespeople. How you pitch your product is going to be the determining factor for whether or not you get in that bag.